You're watching Byline Wilmington on CBS 10 WILM. Here's your host, Don Ansell.
One of those fascinating people I know, Tony Rivenbark, Executive Director of the Thalian Hall Center for the Performing Arts, a building that is a very important building that's currently under renovation. When are you going to reopen?
May of this year.
Really?
Well, of 2010. We're almost there.
There were skating and wrestling matches in Thalian Hall at one point.
In the 1880s, roller skating became a fad for adults, or not really children, adults, and everybody had roller skates. And so it was so popular that they basically took the chairs up. They were just plain wooden chairs. And they took them up, added a little more flat flooring, and the orchestra, instead of playing for the shows, they started playing for roller skating. And it was so popular, they actually turned the second floor of City Hall into a roller skating rink for a while, too. You know, we look at the second floor of City Hall, which is where the city council meets, but that was not the original meeting place for city government. City government met on the first floor in what is now the city manager's office and his conference room. That was called the mayor's court. So that was really the government, was downstairs on the first floor. That second floor, which is now the city council chamber, was a public hall in a sense that was used for, much like we use it today,
still uses
political meetings,
whatever.
weddings, receptions, parties.
The building has had many names, though, since it was built.
Right. It was called Thalian Hall, the Opera House. It was called, officially anyway, the Wilmington Theater. After 1860, it became the Wilmington Opera House in 1871. It became officially the Academy of Music in 1902, and then it was officially became Thalian Hall in 1933.
And for years, I've heard talk about some connection to Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., of course, where President Lincoln was assassinated. Is there a connection?
There are connections, but not what people say. People say there is patterned after, is similar, by the same architect. That's not true. They are similar because of the time period. And John T. Ford managed Thalian Hall from 1867.
Who built Ford's Theater?
Who built Ford's Theater.
He managed this.
He had Thalian Hall among several other theaters in his circuit.
In his circuit.
And when they reconstructed the interior of Ford's Theater, they studied Thalian Hall as a part of that reconstruction and reproduced the wooden benches, copied the benches.
You and I have been in Ford's Theater together, actually. It's not nearly to me, as beautiful or as ornate. It's a simpler version.
It's a theater stopped in time, and Thalian Hall is not stopped in time. Thalian Hall is and always has been caught in the act of becoming. And it's constantly becoming something new.
When did you first see Thalian Hall?
In 1966, the fall of 1966, I wandered into an audition for a musical called Good News that the Wilmington College was producing.
And what was your reaction when you saw that?
I couldn't believe it. I'd been coming to Wilmington all my life, and I had never seen or heard of Thalian Hall.
Born and raised in Warsaw.
Warsaw. In Dublin County. And I sat in there in the balcony and looked at this extraordinary structure, which was not near as pretty as it is today. It was pink and white and gray and green and shabby.
Yeah.
But the plaster work and all that decorative work and the curving of the balconies, that's the shape. That's what's so really unique.
Did you
about
ever,
the building.
in your wildest imagination, think that you might oversee and operate that building?
And go there to work every day for 30 years? No, I did not. I did not. But I think that seeing Thalian Hall, when I did see it, I mean, it made such an impression on me, and I've been in love with it ever since.
Well, most people that walk in there.
Most people do
fall in love.
And when they're touring artists or what, they walk and they love it.
Yeah. Well, it's rare.
It is.
Tell people who you work for.
Well, I work for a board of directors, a board of trustees, the Thalian Hall Center for the Performing Arts, Inc., that was originally called the Thalian Hall Commission. They were organized in 1963
to oversee
for the purpose of restoring and operating Thalian Hall as a center for the performing arts.
That's a board, and how is the board
The board, there are some, we operate under a contract with the city. There are 3 appointed members by the city government, and then the board itself is the organization. And then we have friends and membership.
All right, let's get down to brass tacks. You're in the process of a major renovation.
Major renovation, yes.
Give us a brief outline of
what we're doing.
What you're doing, yeah.
Well, for one thing, we have taken out the floor and put in a new floor that has a sloping floor to eliminate the little platforms that seem to trip people a lot. A big part of this renovation is life safety issues, audience comfort. It's dealing with the auditorium. The 1990 renovation focused on the stage house, putting in the fly system. But this particularly is involved with the audience.
I wonder if we can get some of these graphics up on the screen, because you have actually, and it was astounding. You took me on a little tour to see. It was taken down to dirt.
That's right.
I mean, you removed everything from the main floor.
Right.
Can we get? There we go.
Yeah,
what are we seeing?
Well, here you see the new floor joists going in. So underneath those floor joists are the sand, because the building is on top of a large sand dune.
Maybe we can see that. And you see a little bit of the balcony up there as well.
And so you have this, here's looking down onto the floor.
Now, is that, we're not seeing dirt yet?
That's actually plastic over dirt.
I got you.
But it is a fascinating view, looking at the three levels of seating,
the
looking
gallery
down below from the gallery level.
Yeah.
And so it was quite interesting seeing this structure, almost like a wedding cake, coming out of a sand pile.
Had you ever seen real dirt in Thalian Hall before this renovation?
No, because I was not here when they took out the floor in '75. This is from the view from the stage.
From the stage, and you can see
looking on to the two balconies.
Right.
And of course, since these pictures were taken, we now have a complete subfloor has been put in, the new subfloor. The new orchestra pit has been put in. This is me sitting there in front of the orchestra pit.
Right.
And admiring the way that we're going to have a much better relationship between the audience and the stage, because the floor is slightly higher.
We're going to take a break. We're going to talk about, you found some really interesting artifacts when you were taking out the floor and in the dirt. We're going to talk about that. And there was actually discussion, serious discussion, about demolishing the building at one time. We'll talk about that too when we come back. Stay with us.